The demon's final words haunted me. Lucifer was already among us. I wanted to destroy Mother Miriam's body to purge any traces of demonic influence. Abbot Gregory did not heed my words. Mother Miriam was to be given a proper burial. What is going on? Something's flashing. That afternoon, Inquisitor Virgil sent for me, asking urgently to meet him at the graveyard. All right, ready for case 2? Let us continue. Saint Walpurga's Abbey.
Praise Ein
Graveyard.
Sof. Thank you for coming to our aid so quickly, Sister Ada.
You said it was urgent. Has something happened to Mother Miriam's body?
No, in some ways, that would have been easier. There is now a second untimely death.
Dun dun dun!
Another murder. On the very same day. This can't be a coincidence.
That isn't for me to say, but this time, the victim is a younger acolyte named Isaac.
Isaac?
His remains were found in the grave that was dug for Mother Miriam.
Isn't that a message? That just sounds like a
Yeah, that
message.
sounds like a message. This is
Poor
probably
kid's throat
Wrath.
slit.
Aw.
Yeah, this sounds like Wrath.
Mm-hmm.
Gruesome. Who was at the graveyard when the body was found?
Only 3 people were present this afternoon. A scholar, an embalmer, and a grave tender.
I really hope the scholar happens to be Augustine. Because why even refer to him and retrieving the spear prior?
Father Augustine is a scholar, visiting for Mother Miriam's funeral. The victim was his apprentice.
Interesting. Yeah, so I called it right there that the scholar should be Augustine, and there he is. But Isaac was his apprentice.
Sister Nerissa, an embalmer with a sterling reputation, preparing Mother Miriam's body for burial.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a minute. When he was talking about Augustine, he said Augustine was here for the funeral. Wasn't Augustine traveling from afar because of the spear?
Yeah, but also now here for the funeral.
I just hope that wasn't the only reason he gave, because wouldn't it be morbid if he knew that Miriam was going to have a funeral before she died?
Ah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
But in any case, maybe I'm jumping to conclusions a little too swiftly.
We definitely did the last case.
Okay, so Nerissa embalmer with her sterling reputation.
Finally, Abraham, the grave tender, a layman who has kept the grounds of the abbey for many years.
Interesting, though. Wasn't Abraham the one that was supposed to sacrifice Isaac?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
God had asked him.
To sacrifice his only son, Isaac.
I hope it isn't one of those situations.
Or his youngest son, Isaac? I forget.
I mean, Abraham, Father Abraham, had many sons.
Yeah, you're right.
Many sons had Father Abraham. Oh, gosh. You can probably... I'm one of them, and so are you. Which is creepy, because it means incest, and everyone's related to each other. That's weird. Okay. So, been there
None
for many
of them
years.
say they were near the grave until after the body was discovered.
Which means someone is lying. No matter. Ein Sof sees all. We will unmask their lies and bring the truth forward. I swear it.
Okay. So we have... These are the guards, I assume.
Yep.
We have the graveyard. Who do we have? Is this going to be the grave itself?
Yeah, so you might as well wander around looking at clues first.
This looks like it's Vigil.
Yeah.
Virgil, I should say.
Yep.
Let's take a look.
Oh, it was the first case Cain and Abel. Holy shit, it was.
Oh,
Kinda.
really? I bet Gideon and
But
Reuben are different names, but you're
yeah,
right.
but
It was
in essence, it was still a Cain and Abel situation.
right, because Cain and Abel. Cain was a harvester. He grew crops, and Abel was the one who tended to sheep. And when they were both asked to make an offering, I think it was that Abel's sheep
We're so
was
much
favored.
more impressive.
It was more impressive,
Yep.
and it was favored.
So there we
And
go.
Cain slew Abel.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's cool.
All right. In any case, here's the headstone. The noble's grave. An immaculately maintained grave shows the genealogy of an illustrious family. There isn't a blade of grass out of place at this stone. Interesting. So, but why have that as evidence when it's nowhere near? Ooh, statue of Saint Walpurga. A statue of Saint Walpurga, the founder of the abbey and patron saint of exorcists, sorry.
Can you turn the music down?
Again?
Yeah. Like, I'd say 65. There's just between sessions it's a little loud.
Audio.
Yeah.
Music volume.
Yeah, so 65 maybe, or 60 or 65. It just gets a little loud.
But is the ambiance too much? Because
Yeah,
right now there's a
turn
lot
that
of
down
rain.
maybe to 80. Because I want to be able to hear the characters talk. The music, while it's great, it gets a little loud during some of the louder segments. Okay. Seems like, go check out the body.
Well, okay.
Leave talking to people for last, because it doesn't seem like there's more new clues that
True.
you find on the ground.
Ooh, an ether scanner. What is this? A portable ether-powered device for recording images and texts. What would be on it?
No idea. Maybe we don't find it out.
We can't inspect it. Just gonna run by everyone. Oh, there's... Interesting. Are these footprints? I thought I saw something more on the ground when I highlighted that. No?
No, it's just whatever that is.
Is it another herb? No, a surgical multi-tool. Is this the murder weapon?
Possibly.
Surgical multi-tool. Found on the staircase between the mortuary and the grave. Ether-powered tool for making incisions, applying preservatives, and closing wounds. So it could be something that a mortician would be able to use, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also could be the murder weapon.
There's
This
a
is-
flower there, by the way.
A flower?
On the right? Yeah.
Oh, here?
Yeah.
Is that the herb? Oh, it's one of those herbs, isn't it? What is this? The devil's herb. I knew something nefarious is afoot. The abbey must be purified if it's sent. I should dispose of any that I find. Wait, are these collectibles or something? Could I have found more, or is there always one at every scene?
Might just be one at every scene. We'll keep an eye out. I didn't see any others in the previous case. Chat, yell if you see more.
The victim's body. Isaac. The victim, a teenage youth aspiring to be a scholar. Raised in the church, he joined Augustine as his apprentice 8 months ago. Victim's body, already in the notes. So let's look body. The apprentice's youthful face is serene above his cleanly slit throat, with no bruising. However, an angry scar runs across his stomach. But a scar that's healed, obviously.
Yeah.
But what could it be from? Oh, yeah, see, look at that.
Oh, you're right. Here, there's a footprint at the top of the stairs. It should be dark.
There
you go.
we go. That's what I had briefly hovered over earlier. Muddy footprints. So this goes into the mortuary by the looks of it? We can
Yeah.
actually see a shovel
Yeah,
and other
we can
things.
absolutely go inside.
Muddy footprints. Found on the floors of the mortuary, still wet. Leads from the back exit of the mortuary to the embalming table. Can we go inside? Yes, we can. That body doesn't look good over there.
Nope. That looks...
That, the head, that doesn't look like it's supposed to be the victims of the previous case's body, right?
Probably not.
Shovel. Found hanging in the back area of the mortuary, heavy, bulky, and caked with dirt. Oh, what's this? A bouquet? Bouquet. A bundle of fresh blossoms. Like that found on a grave. Why were they on the floor? Someone must have brought them and dropped them?
Guess so.
Nerissa's workstation. Graveyard schedule. The records show 2 notable entries for today, both explicitly authorized by Abbot Gregory. 1. Funeral for Mother Miriam at sundown. 2. Visit by Father Augustine. Unrestricted access granted. What is here? The other alcoves for the bodies.
Yep.
But what is this? A bloody liver? What kind of mortician are you? You don't keep livers out in the open.
Or the liver is recently placed.
Bloody liver. Found on a table with other entrails, still partially warm and moist. It appears mangled in some way. Perhaps smashed? And it's interesting because the footprints stop at this.
And then...
Wait. The scar. Wait a minute.
Yeah, might have removed the guy's liver?
Yeah, the surgical tool can be used to cauterize the wounds.
Yeah.
So did... But then did he die from getting his liver removed?
Oh, gosh.
Or did he... Oh, you're right, gluttony. Because people were talking about eating disgusting things with the... Well, so not people, but the demon was eating disgusting things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but... So, let me get this straight. Did someone kill the boy and then rip his liver out? Or did someone
as a snack for later?
That could be. Anything else over here? Nope. Yeah, and this person, see, it looks like it's their chest cavity. This is Miriam, actually. The embalmed body. Identified as Mother Miriam. There is a large incision down her stomach. Judging from the uneven coloring and the chemical scent, she appears partially embalmed. So, let me guess. They were going to harvest her for organs to eat, and then she was sort of embalmed, which meant that they had to find other fresh meat that wasn't for an embalmed body?
I have no idea.
This is gross.
No, you can keep inspecting her, by the way. Oh, already recording notes. Never mind.
Well, we do have the...
I think that's it for clues if you want to start talking to people.
I'm going to run past this guy, and maybe we'll question him last? I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, wait, there's a sickle.
Oh.
By the grave. Its lightweight blade sliced through the air to trim grass and chop weeds. Its sharp edge could easily injure someone. So, we have a couple of clues in that regard. 2 potential murder weapons. Definitely grotesque stuff going on with... And notice, there's been a couple of new graves recently. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, you're right.
Aside from Miriam. So do you want to talk with the gravekeeper?
Up to you.
The scholar?
I mean, I'm just along for the ride.
I will talk with Abraham, the grave tender.
Release me! I had nothing to do with that boy.
He must be Abraham, the grave tender.
I am. I've worked here for 30 years, worked hard without complaint. Look around you, every bush trimmed, every headstone polished, because of me. I've done it all, I've done all that is asked of me and more. Yet the moment something goes wrong, I'm the one blamed.
It's not personal. Even the most steadfast among us may fall prey to Lucifer's whispers. Abraham. You dug the grave in which the victim was found, didn't you?
Huh. Actually, I didn't dig in anything today.
Ooh. Then who did?
How'd I know? I've been busy, working as always.
As the grave tender, any crimes that took place here are your responsibility. If you are truly innocent, hide nothing, and tell me what happened. We'll find the truth together.
So just hit...
Play.
Yeah.
I spent the early afternoon tending to the bushes by the mortuary.
You can click on the next sections to go faster.
Yeah, I just
'Cause-
noticed that. Is that the scholar that was down there? Someone else?
Oh,
When I
yeah.
headed back to the mortuary, Narissa told me there was nothing else special to do for the... I walked through the mortuary, then headed downhill towards the benches.
That.
When I headed back to the mortuary, Narissa told me
Here,
there was
just do
nothing
auto
else
pause
special to
and
do
then
for the
click on
day.
each one.
So I left her to her work.
Yeah, so if you click on the next one, it'll just pause there until you
Yeah, I'll
start
do
talking.
auto pause because it just seemed to like
Yeah,
go
we don't
over.
really need to see the timeline going.
Now I notice he has the sickle here, but the shovel isn't on the wall.
Correct.
Not that we'd be able to see this if we were really asking, but you know.
Yeah. Just click on the next sections.
I walked through the mortuary, then headed downhill towards the benches.
Okay.
I spent the remainder of the afternoon resting on a bench.
So I suppose someone could have killed the boy and brought him over to this grave without him noticing, but
Suddenly, I heard someone call for help from the back field. I ran over, surprised to see a dead body in the grave. I spent the early afternoon tending to the bushes by the mortuary.
did you hear a scream there?
Yeah.
I spent the early afternoon tending to the bushes by the mortuary.
I hear voices, like people talking and things opening and closing.
Interesting. Don't touch anything.
I'm not touching anything, but it's just weird. I thought I heard a scream around this point. Oh, they even have a line of sight for him.
Yep. So you can see what they see. I bet if you scrub on the timeline real quick, you'll find it better. So just grab...
I just want to ask him about it. Can we
Okay,
ask
sure.
on everything?
Ask him about everything.
Are you claiming then that you didn't dig the grave?
Right. That's what I said. I was busy with the bushes.
Really? That's interesting. I can ask him about the sickle.
Grass grows like weeds here. Use that to keep everything tidy and neat, the way a graveyard should be.
Ask him about the shovel.
Oh no.
That's my shovel. It's built to last. Good workmanship. I usually leave it in the mortuary when I'm not using it.
Okay, that's good. I can ask him about the victim's body.
Are you sure it wasn't an accident? It seems so strange to have a murder after all these years without any.
Unfortunately, we're sure, Abraham, this was a demon's work.
A pity. The boy's so young, too. Suppose it's part of Einsoft's will somehow. These can't be my footprints. It's true that I went inside the mortuary after working outside, but that was before the rain.
Before the rain. That's a good tip. Surgical multi-tool. He wouldn't know how to use it. This would be Narissa's.
Yeah, it's definitely Narissa's. I've seen her using it at the table many times, getting the dead ready for rest. I suppose it cuts and injects and repairs. Never used one myself.
Alright, does she use it to get livers?
Say that's liver? If it is, it looks like a dog got to it.
Ew. Ooh, the graveyard schedule.
I don't know anything about this. Narissa handles all the scheduling and tells me when I need to do something.
Okay.
Narissa makes bouquets from a flower garden nearby. Visitors sometimes use them as offerings at the graves.
Interesting. What is this ether scanner about?
I don't know what that is. Why would somebody put that on a grave?
Why would someone put it on a grave? Don't tell me that people's organs can have ether in them, and the mortician was putting this on graves to determine the viability of a body to eat
Probably
them.
not. The mortician would probably eat the body parts before embalming.
Mm-hmm.
That statue is always an ordeal to clean. 100-some-odd years old already, as you probably know. Birds love making a mess on her head. I keep her sparkling clean almost out of spite. Notice that. It's my family's old grave. I'm not nobility anymore, but the abbey grounds once belonged to my ancestors. It was all confiscated after my great-uncle Sergius was branded a heretic. Too bad for the rest of us.
Ooh, isn't that an
That's
interesting
potential
motive?
for wrath.
Look at that for the gravekeeper. His family used to own the grounds of the abbey, and they used to be of noble birth, but then now, after several generations, he's been reduced to the grave tender?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Maybe it's Einsoft's humor that I work the land now as a laborer. Life has its ups and downs. It's a good job.
Okay. We can ask about the embalmed body.
I usually only see bodies when they're all cleaned up. Narissa must not have finished with that one yet.
It's because Narissa was too busy eating said body.
Yum yum livers.
That's...
Too many livers. She can't stop.
Okay. So, dismissed by Narissa.
When I headed back to the mortuary, Narissa told me there was nothing else special to do for the day.
So you were dismissed early in the day. Why didn't you go home?
Narissa made it clear I should leave her to her work, so I did. But there's plenty of other groundskeeping work to be done. A large headstone out front needed some attention, so I headed that way.
That would make sense, because the large headstone would be his family's, right?
Yep.
And we did find his sickle near there.
Except for he didn't do anything to it.
I walked through the mortuary, then headed downhill towards the benches.
You didn't run into anyone.
Nope, no one passed me.
I spent the remainder of the afternoon resting on a bench.
Now look at that. That looks to be the scholar
Yeah.
walking by. You were there until someone called for help.
That's right.
I'd like to ask who called for help. But
That's the poor boy in the grave. Such a shame. Hadn't seen him when he was alive. That's who the grave was for. If you say so. She must have been important to have a plot here.
yeah, Sister Miriam. Let's ask him about himself.
I'm Abraham, groundskeeper here. I polished the headstones, trimmed the bushes, that kind of thing.
We may have already heard this, perhaps. Oh, never mind.
Been doing this for many years. It's a good job, quiet, peaceful even, most days.
Suddenly, I heard someone call for help from the back.
Then what was that, Fogger? Weird. Then Father Augustine was the one that called for help?
Yeah, he was standing over the grave when I arrived. Narissa arrived at the same time too.
Interesting. So, yeah, Augustine was the first one to find the body, and we saw him walk by as much. Well, until we question other people, we won't be able to get anything more.
Accuse?
No, we're gonna leave for now. Thank you so much. Now let us talk with the scholar.
Jacques?
You must be Father Augustine. The victim was your apprentice, correct?
Correct. And you are Sister Ada, the exorcist. It is a unique pleasure.
Thank you, but I only serve Ein Sof according to my calling. Why are you here, Father?
I'm visiting in preparation for Mother Miriam's sudden funeral.
Really? It wasn't about the sword? Do we still... Or not the sword, the spear? Do we still have... No, we don't
No.
have the spear in this at all. Ah!
It is a true blessing to witness your holy work, Sister Ada. I pray Isaac can rest in peace.
Well, he's already in a grave. That's terrible. No, they wouldn't just leave him in there.
Nope.
How long did Isaac study under you? Did you know him well?
He was a fine apprentice, a ready mind and a willing soul. I will mourn him in my own way. But I must admit the prospect of witnessing an exorcism is an unexpected silver lining.
Wait, he's more intrigued by the exorcism than he is about the fact that his apprentice was killed?
Yep.
Come on. If I find you guilty, Father Augustine, you'll find the experience to be unpleasant. Tell me now, what happened this afternoon? Leave nothing out.
I began by taking an afternoon stroll.
All right. He arrived for the funeral.
I arrived at the graveyard with Isaac for Mother Miriam's funeral. Isaac headed to the mortuary on a minor errand.
You might as well ask him as he goes by.
Sure. Indeed. Were you close to her, Father?
No, but the abbot was too busy with mass preparations to hold her funeral, so I was entrusted with the task.
Okay.
Then I passed through the graveyard until I saw the statue of Saint Walpurga. What craftsmanship, and so well maintained.
Was there something particular about the statue that caught your eye? Perhaps the lack of avian fecal matter upon her crown? I'm
Indeed.
just saying that for fun.
Given its age, it's been immaculately maintained. The groundskeeper must be skilled.
Indeed. He scrubs that hair quite well. It is necessary to get rid of avian fecal matter. Oh gosh. Alright, onwards.
For most of the afternoon, I was walking through the graveyard, merely observing and admiring.
Ah, yes, and he's admiring that grave in particular. That is a lengthy stroll. Tell me more about what you were doing.
I was licking the bird poop from the headstones. You doubt me. Show me proof I was doing something else.
Oh? Alright.
At sunset, I wandered to the back area to meet with Isaac. I was surprised to find an open grave with something inside.
Did you see anyone?
No, I was the only one near the grave.
Okay, so at that point he calls for help.
I was horrified to discover that it was Isaac's dead body. That's when I called for help.
So you were the first to arrive at the grave.
Yes, I was.
Well, now let's ask him about the objects. That's about the immaculately maintained gravestone.
It's preserved in remarkable condition. Marvelous craftsmanship, too. Shame the family became disgraced.
So even he's aware of the family being disgraced. Walpurga.
Ah, good old Saint Walpurga. Are you quizzing me about your own patron saint?
I'm asking what it means to you, Father.
Very well. It honors her final victory against Lucifer in the abbey's chapel. A true holy sight.
Ooh, I wonder who she exorcised in order to do that. Interesting.
Roots. For 111 years, no daemons have been sighted in our world. Until today.
Now, you see, that's a more specific number. They keep saying 100 years, but 111. Alright. Aether scanner.
That's my Aether scanner. I use it to record images and parse them into glyphs.
Why was it on that other grave? All the way back there, did he drop it?
No, I think he just liked the view.
Huh.
My path has not crossed one of these devices before. It must be a tool of some sort, but what purpose I can only guess.
The victim's body.
His face. It's as if he just fell asleep. But how could this be? He had no enemies. Is it possible I was the intended target? Horrifying to consider.
Oh. So you care more about yourself as opposed to the boy that just died.
Mm-hmm.
Muddy footprints. So, right, there was someone who had been out in the rain.
Footprints in the mortuary. Unfortunately, I know nothing about this. Perhaps they're Isaac's.
Yeah, as far as his testimony goes, he never entered the mortuary.
Even if I had seen that, it looks far too heavy for me to have used. It's beautiful. Was it with Isaac? I asked him to fetch me a bouquet. Strange.
Oh, so he asked Isaac to fetch the bouquet, but it was in the mortuary.
On the floor.
On the floor. So what happened? The Nerissa starts eating bits of Miriam's corpse, realizes something's wrong or it's not enough. Boy comes in to grab the flowers, and she goes, "Ooh, fresh meat." Where would she have slit his throat or taken out his liver?
No idea.
Because,
I mean, chances are his throat was probably slit above the grave.
Yeah, well, the other thing, too, is the muddy footprints went from the grave back to the mortuary. Like, it looks like, what? Maybe...
Went from the grave into the mortuary to where the liver is and then turned around.
Well, that's what I was thinking. That she killed him, like, ambushed him, maybe killed and took the liver out in the grave and then ran back in to discard the liver.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Graveyard schedule.
Yes, as you can see, Mother Miriam's funeral is scheduled here. I've come to pay my respects. The ceremony was rushed, but I promised the abbot I'd do right by her.
The bloody liver.
This was in Mother Miriam's body. I've conducted several anatomical studies, and I've never seen an organ mangled in this way.
Well, we don't notice that he said this was in Mother Miriam's body,
Yeah, it was her liver.
but it could be the boy's liver.
Could
Is
be the
what
boy's
I'm getting
liver.
at. Embalmed body.
Mother Miriam's remains. I'd heard the accident was unsightly. I hoped for a closed coffin ceremony.
Well, she didn't have a head, so yep.
The tall man with the beard, I think I saw him holding it. At one point.
That would make sense because he'd be tending to things and trimming them. All right, so
That's it for him.
I can ask him if he was on the bench.
For most of the
Abraham.
afternoon,
Oh,
I was
you're right.
walking through the graveyard.
Is that what he claims? Fascinating.
Fascinating. What?
Doesn't sound like he's that useful.
I just expected Ada to follow up with a...
Well,
But-
you might as well ask about tending the bushes and some other stuff. Tending the bushes, resting on the bench.
Sure.
Nope.
That's
same
just
thing.
what he claims fascinating. So, in his account, the man wasn't on the benches at all.
So check 10 bushes?
Head towards the bushes?
No. Tend bushes.
Oh, tending the bushes.
Then I passed through the graveyard until I saw the statue of Saint Walpurga. What craftsmanship, and so well maintained.
Was he? I don't recall seeing him there. Well, nothing else useful. I'd say leave.
Okay, so all that we've gathered at this point is that he never saw Abraham in the gardens at all. What was this dismissed by Nerissa?
For most of the afternoon, I was
But
walking
that's
through the graveyard.
Abraham.
That's
he
Abraham.
would have no way of
observing
knowing this
and
one.
admiring.
Probably.
All right. Well then, let us leave for the time being. Interesting. So he saw nothing of Abraham, or at least he claims he didn't see Abraham. So do we go talk to the creepy, potentially, like, cannibal? Nerissa, the embalmer.
Praise Ain Soph. You must be the famed exorcist. It is an honor, sister. I'm Nerissa, and I serve Ain Soph by preparing the dead for burial.
Does she have some kind of weird halo? Or no,
Yeah.
sorry, no, that's the
Oh,
computers.
that's the screens, yeah.
It just lined up.
It's placed weird.
I take pleasure in providing cleanliness and comfort for bodies after their souls have departed.
I am sorry, Nerissa, but that is not evident in your workspace. There are currently muddy footprints defiling the floor and blood soaking into the tiles. This is not clean. This is not cleanliness. How dare you? Oh, in any case.
I see. Nerissa, how did you know the victim?
Not at all. The first time I saw him, he was curled in that grave, dirty and bloody.
Really? Would that have been the first time, considering the boy entered for the bouquet?
Yeah.
The whole afternoon, I prepared Mother Miriam's body for burial. There isn't much else to tell. Early this afternoon, I informed Abraham of the funeral scheduled for this evening.
Didn't he say he was unaware of the funeral?
Yeah, he did.
I arrived at the grave. Wait a minute. Yeah, he was just tending the bushes. So he had no idea about the funeral.
Yeah, he said he had no idea and was dismissed early.
There was something about a grave. Digging a grave.
You should probably ask about the talk to Abraham bit.
Oh, this
Early
one?
this afternoon, I informed
Just
Abraham.
quick ask.
Sure. Abraham knew about the funeral. I certainly hope so. Why else would he dig a grave? So Abraham is lying about digging the grave, which
Yep.
is odd because he could have easily said he had dug it for Miriam. But why for the boy? You know what I mean? Unless he really was strolling. Well, no, not strolling. Augustine was strolling around the main area. He wasn't going to the back, was he? So it would explain if Abraham was the one digging the grave the whole time.
Yeah.
Okay, so preparing the body. Yeah, Nerissa, preparing the body.
Once Abraham left, I started preparing the body for burial. I was alone the entire time. No one came by.
Not even the boy? No one came by at all. Nobody, which was perfect, because I need the silence to focus.
Mid-afternoon, Abraham barged into the mortuary, bellowing that the grave is now ready. I sent him away to focus.
Interesting. So he knew about the grave. Why did you send him away? Is Abraham's presence so distracting? Yes, I don't like people to stand around and gawk while I'm trying to work and eat my work. No offense. Yeah, like, come on. She is... Of course she wants to be alone. She's potentially eating things. In any case.
After Abraham's disturbance, I completed the embalming to the best of my humble abilities.
The best of your humble abilities, does that involve leaving livers on your shelving? Do you consider your work complete, then? I did my best, given the circumstances. I always do my best, sister. Really now.
Just after dark, I heard a scream from the back field. A dead body was found.
You ran over to the grave from the mortuary when you heard the call. Wait a minute. So, this could align with everything. If it was raining by that time, she could have deposited the body, ran back in with the liver to the shelf, heard the call, and then ran back out. What do you think?
I'm just along for the ride. Critical thought is hard.
Yes, Father Augustine was already there. Abraham was running over from the front field. Well, that lines up. All of their... Everything lines up here. And Nerissa dismissing Abraham. But she was dismissing him because he had finished on the grave. So, yeah. Let's
Once early this afternoon,
ask
I
her about
informed
this. I don't think he had time to tend bushes today at all. I asked him to dig the grave for the funeral.
Once after Abraham's disturbance, I completed the embalming to the best of my humble abilities.
So the thing is with this, she had already dismissed him by then, so him being on the benches, she wouldn't know about that.
You might as well ask, though. Because Abraham's already the most suspect character.
I didn't see him myself, but what he says makes sense. After Abraham's disturbance, I completed the embalming to the best of my abilities. Yeah, okay. I was busy then, so I didn't see what he was doing. Okay. Well, we do have some contradictions here.
You might as well
let's
ask
ask
her,
about Augustine.
Ask her about the stuff, too. But yeah, you could also do Augustine.
Okay. Oh, Isaac headed to the mortuary for a minor errand. Had she seen Isaac?
She said
Once
nothing about
Abraham
him. She
left,
said no one
I
was there
started
during the
preparing-
prepare the body section.
Ah, is that why he's here? I didn't see him arrive because I was inside the mortuary. But Isaac headed to the mortuary on a minor errand. Let's contradict. Arrive for the funeral. Is that... Lies unmasked. Lies, Nerissa. Father Augustine saw you speak to Isaac by the entrance of the mortuary. Isaac entered the mortuary. Admit it. Very well. There's no use hiding it. Please know nothing untoward happened. The victim only stopped by for a moment. All right. So now she amended it to she greeted Isaac, showed the bouquet, and took him to the exit. Let's ask her about this.
The truth is that the apprentice did come by. He asked for a bouquet for the funeral later that day.
Did you notice anything about the victim at this time? No. He seemed like a normal, healthy young man to me. Oh, but look at this.
Yep.
Her head is glowing. What is going on with her? Famine survivor.
That's
something.
Beelzebub thing.
Wow. She survived a famine.
So
Under what
maybe she
circumstances?
survived through cannibalism and
It could be.
has a taste for human liver.
That could be the case.
And that's why she's a mortician.
When I showed him the bouquet, he held it for a moment and then threw it on the floor. I suppose it wasn't to his master's taste. I forgot to pick it back up.
Really? So he didn't take the bouquet with him? No. He decided it was best to return empty-handed, rather than bring something unworthy. Interesting. What a terrible person.
Then the boy asked to be taken to the rear field before the funeral, so I led him out the back exit.
So when you last saw him, he was headed towards the grave. That's right. He left the mortuary out the back. Interesting.